Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shot Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Wednesday, November 22nd, 2023. And if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, include my $19 Bank Shot best bet, as well as my all-access season pass in college basketball, you can find this at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Wednesday in college basketball. First up, it's Villanova and Texas Tech. This one, 2:30 Eastern. It's a part of the Battle for Atlantis tournament, so a neutral site game. Should be a great game between two of the better programs in college basketball, honestly, in the last decade. And Villanova's 3-1 in the year. Their only loss was an upset loss to Penn, but that was a true road game in a tough environment. And against, I would say, a better than what people expected Penn team going into the year. While on the other side, Texas Tech, they're 3-0, but they haven't played a team that's in the top 150 in KenPom yet. They beat Commerce, Corpus Christi, and San Jose State. And, a solid win against San Jose State, holding them to 42 points. But, this will certainly be the toughest test of the year for the Red Raiders. This Texas Tech defense is the real deal. The offense is waiting to get going. I mean, the offense, they're 265th in effective field goal percentage, turning the ball over quite a bit, and they're 355th in the nation in three-point percentage. But for Texas Tech, I actually like the matchup offensively because I just don't really love this Villanova defense. It's right now ranked 46th in adjusted defensive efficiency, but I don't think it's going to be the case for much longer. When you look at the shot quality data, the defense is not really doing great. They're giving up some high percentage looks to the opposing teams, and they're also not really forcing many turnovers, 214th in turnover percentage defensively. I think that if there was a spot for the Texas Tech offense to get going, this would be the one. And we know the Red Raiders defense already where it needs to be. I'm going to go with the Texas Tech Red Raiders in this game plus the points. Next up, we see Mount St. Mary's taking on American. This one's going to be 4:30 Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN+. Now, we talked about both of these teams last week when they both played Georgetown. We saw Mount St. Mary's against Georgetown on Saturday, November 18th. We faded them in that game. We took Georgetown and laid the points, and they covered for us 83-72. And the other game, American, the next day on Sunday, we took the points with American in that game. They forced overtime. They lost 88-83, but covered the number again for us in that ball game. So now these teams play against each other, and I think it's a good matchup for American. I just don't think Mount St. Mary's, especially in a true road game, can keep up offensively. Mount St. Mary's 305 in the nation adjusted offensive efficiency, turning the ball over too much. I thought this offense would be a lot better this year on paper, and so I like their chances in that game against Maryland. While they covered a spread, only put up 53 points in that ball game, and they're 320th in three-point percentage. Last year, they were top 100 in three-point shooting, so really big drop-off there. I think American's offense will be able to score at will, and while the defense is not great, I think it's going to be good enough, especially at home, to win this game and cover the reasonable numbers. So give me American laying the points at home. Next up, we see Baylor and Oregon State. This one's 7 o'clock Eastern. It's going to be a part of the NIT season tip-off at the former home of my New York Islanders, the Barclays Center. 7 o'clock Eastern, ESPN2 for this ball game. Now, Baylor, they're 4-0 to start the year, and Oregon State's coming off a loss to Nebraska by 21 points, but I still think we're getting a reasonable price with Baylor in this game, and I'm going to lay the points with Baylor. This is a team that can score the ball at will. We see them go on many big runs, 10-0 runs, sometimes 20-0 runs, and their offense is 5th in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency. They're one of the best three-point shooting teams in the nation right now, 43.1% as a team, but also they're top 10 in the country in offensive rebounding percentage. So not only are they getting to the free throw line and making their shots at a great rate, but they're also getting those second chance looks, and that's really bad news for Oregon State. They're struggling on the defensive glass. They're 290th in the country in defensive rebounding, so their defense is already not in great shape, and the matchup's not great, but now you got to worry about Baylor getting second chance looks all night. To me, Baylor should be able to score at will, and the question is, can Oregon State keep up offensively? And right now, when we saw them against Nebraska, 63 points, not going to get the job done. They're 241st in the country in effective field goal percentage. They're not a great offensive rebounding team. They're 262nd in two-point field goal percentage. I got to go with Baylor here. I think they win this game in a blowout. Next up, we see South Dakota State taking on Southern Miss. This one, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN+, a part of the Jacksonville Classic. It's a campus game, so it's a true home game for Southern Miss. South Dakota State, I think there's value with this team right now. We took them plus the points against UCF. They covered for us there. They lost the next game against George Mason outright, 73-71. But I'm back on the Jackrabbits here. I think this is the best 1-4 team in the country. They played a really tough strength of schedule, but they've been competitive in most of their losses, except the game against Kansas State, where Kansas State had an amazing shooting performance in that game. South Dakota State lost by 6 to Akron, a very good Akron team. They lost by 3 to UCF, like we mentioned, and then only 2 points to George Mason, another top 140 team in KenPom this season. So I think South Dakota State's fine offensively, 57th in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency, Really good three-point shooting team. They're taking care of the basketball. The defense has been the problem for the Jackrabbits, but I also think it's better than its current numbers. I think going forward, we're going to see the points per game allowed go down quite a bit for South Dakota State, especially as we near conference play in the Summit League. And Southern Miss just doesn't seem to be the offense that can take advantage of this South Dakota State defense. Southern Miss 225th in adjusted offensive efficiency, not shooting the ball very well, not a very good offensive rebounding team. They're 339th in two-point field goal percentage. They're making their threes at a really good rate, but I just don't think the Southern Miss offense is great. They look to slow things down defensively, but South Dakota State, not really that type of team. I just think this matchup benefits the Jackrabbits here. I know it's a true road game, but I do think the Jackrabbits are the much better team here. And I think because of their 1-4 record, we're getting a really good price on them. So give me South Dakota State. I'm going to take them on the money line. Next up, we see the final game we're going to talk about for Wednesday's card in college basketball. It's Florida and Pittsburgh, also in that NIT season tip-off and also at the Barclays Center. This one, 9:30 Eastern. Both teams are off to pretty good starts to the year. Florida 3-1, but their only loss was Virginia. Very good team. No shame in that loss. It was a 3-point game, 73-70, neutral site game, and Florida's played well since that game with 2 blowout wins against Florida A&M and their rivals in Florida State. Pittsburgh 4-0 to start the year. A lot of blowout wins, 100-52, 89-60, 86-74, a little bit closer, and then 107-56. But we got to remember their opponents all outside the top 200 in KenPom, North Carolina A&T, Binghamton, Jacksonville, and Florida Gulf Coast. But I still think Pittsburgh, can't deny this team's playing really well on both sides of the ball to start the year. The offense we figure was going to be as strong as it was last year, but the defense, Pittsburgh's defense last year was the big question mark, and it was why I think Pittsburgh was kind of held back from making a really big run in the NCAA tournament last year. This was a team outside the top 100 in adjusted defensive efficiency, and they played well in the tournament against Mississippi State and Iowa State, teams that struggled to score, but when they faced an offensive juggernaut like Xavier, they lost that game by double digits. But it's good to see Pittsburgh improving there, defensively to start the year. And the big thing that I think Pittsburgh has an advantage in this game, or at least I should say minimizes the advantage that Florida usually has over its opponents, is the fact that Florida Gators right now are number 1 in college basketball in offensive rebounding percentage, earning an offensive rebound on 50% of their missed shots. Unbelievable number, and they've been able to dominate against some of the weaker defensive rebounding teams in college basketball this year. But Pittsburgh is 4th in the nation in defensive rebounding percentage, 12th in offensive. So that kind of advantage kind of goes out the window here for Florida, a team that's not really shooting the ball too well. They're also turning the ball over quite a bit. They're 279th in turnover percentage offensively. I do think that big advantage for Florida's offense kind of is not going to be seen in a game like this. And Pittsburgh, they've been able to shoot the ball basically anywhere on the court, 3-point jumpers. They're 34th in 2-point field goal percentage. They're also taking care of the basketball. They're getting to the free throw line. They're not making their free throws at a great rate, but I still like what I'm seeing from Pittsburgh on both sides of the court. I do think that this is just a better matchup. I don't know if Pittsburgh's the better team necessarily. I think both these teams really strong. I think both these teams are tournament teams, honestly, when we get to March. But in this particular matchup, I think it benefits Pittsburgh. So give me the Pittsburgh Panthers here. I'm going to take them on the money line plus the points as well. And that's it. Those are the games for Wednesday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.